And welcome, everybody. In this episode, we're going to learn more about new platforms that provide, in fact, a great platform that provides data analytics to take the complexity out of pay equity and wage gaps. Now, according to the 322 employers responding to Expert HR's 2022 survey on pay equity, senior management is one root cause of the existence of pay inequities at companies, and the survey indicated an opportunity to address policies and procedures that could achieve pay equity. Human resources practitioners, they're leaning on tech tools like Gapsquare to review pay analytics to close wage gaps within their own organizations. The platform takes the complexity out of pay equity, wage gaps, and fair pay so that companies can focus on performance and productivity, recruitment and retention, and building inclusive teams. So my very special guest is the CEO and co-founder of Gapsquare, Dr. Zara Nanu. Welcome, Doctor.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me here today and putting the spotlight on this very important issue.
Well, one says, scratches your head. What is pay inequity? Is it as simple as two different people doing the same job but being paid differently?
Yeah, so this is a very important question. It can be that. It's people doing the same job, people bringing the same value to a company but being paid differently. But it also can be about looking at wage gaps across the company. So how does a average man within a business compared to the average woman within the same business, and how does their pay differ? And this other context, it's not just about people being paid for the same job. The gaps can be there because of things like recruitment, so more men or more women get recruited into an organization. Gaps can be there because of career progression, because of something known as the motherhood penalty, where women have career breaks and that has an impact on their wage.
So what are the factors? What's causing pay inequities in companies then?
So there's different factors and different drivers. According to the survey that we did, some of it is due to decisions and individual pay decisions when managers recruit and bring people into the business. And sometimes those decisions are taken without looking at the existing pay equity landscape. So someone could want to bring a new project manager in and they would offer them, say, 150K, when in fact, within their organization already, the range for the project manager should be between, say, 110 and 120. And then immediately that creates a gap once that person joins compared to the other people doing similar jobs. There's also a thing around occupational segregation. So what we have within our economies, and that's true globally, is a lot of the roles that are occupied predominantly by men pay higher per hour than roles that are dominated by women. So you have roles like software engineers, like data science, like a lot of these digital economy roles that pay significantly higher than other roles like legal clerk entry or administrative assistant, or roles that are largely dominated by women in our economies.
Yeah, there's quite a difference, isn't there? Let's look at some of the percentages that came out of the survey, and if you'd like to discuss those. 93% of respondents endorsed using analytics for making pay decisions. However, 38% actually did so. Why the difference there?
Yeah, it's a really interesting data, and actually in line with what we've seen through Gartner data that looked more broader businesses across the U.S. In terms of companies that really intend to and want to look at pay equity and want to use data that comes from payroll and from HR to understand those gaps. But actually the key challenges come at then how do you do it? Because it's not very simple in terms of running statistical regression models and running kind of some number crunching that looks specifically at different cohorts of employees that do similar roles, that do similar jobs, that have within their responsibilities tasks that are similar. So when it comes to that number crunching itself, there are significant challenges because of the complexity within pay equity and what it means and how we can address it going forward. So the intention is definitely there. We see companies wanting to utilize data. We see them understand that data actually holds the key to solving pay inequity, but the number crunching is proving to be challenging and difficult, and that's why we see lower percentage point of companies actually doing work with it.
Well, 53% said senior leadership and individual pay decisions. They have a high impact on driving pay disparities within their workforce.
Yeah, and that we see that across the board, across different geographies, in that a lot of businesses don't necessarily have streamlined policies and don't necessarily have pay equity exercises happening within the business that set certain pay ranges for different occupations, for different pay grades. So a lot of the decisions around offering pay when it comes to senior management are still taken ad hoc. We also have market factors, so we can't deny the Great Resignation and the impact that's having on pay, with companies having to be more creative and wanting to attract that top talent. So they're going out offering significantly more pay to attract that talent in, and that creates those gaps with existing employees. And there's also, in addition to those 53%, we also saw a staggering 40% attribute pay gaps to individual salary history. So when you bring a new employee on board and you see that they were on 80K with their previous job, even though within your business, say, a lot of peers would be earning 100K, managers are still likely to offer the kind of in line with the previous salary history. And that's an interesting one, because that's also why we see states like New York and I think Massachusetts, Illinois move towards requiring employers to not ask employees about their salary history, because they know that that actually has an impact on how much they're going to be offered.
Well, it's interesting, as you're probably well aware right now, at least in the US of A, people are finding it hard to get people, ever since COVID-19 and the return of work. I mean, how can Gapsquare help companies achieve pay equity?
So, I mean, if people are interested, more than happy to have a conversation with them, and you can reach us through gapsquare.com/lead-the-change. And we're happy to just have conversations with organizations about what data they have available, what they want to achieve out of their data, what kind of strategies they want around reward and compensation. And it's really important at this time, as you rightly pointed out, Mark, in light of the Great Resignation, the post-COVID-19 world of work is really lacking talent. Companies really want to attract that top talent to come and join them to rebuild the businesses, rebuild the economies. But at the same time, they need to create pay equity and transparency in order to do that, because these younger generations, X, Y, and Z, and millennials, they want to come back to work, but they want to work for organizations that really pay attention to things like wage equality, to things like fairness at work, policies that are more conducive to work-life balance. So businesses really need to start looking at those wage numbers and understand how that feeds back into policies and take decisions about building a more fair, inclusive world of work.
So first step is go to gapsquare.com. Have a bit of a read, there's contacts there, and then follow up from that point. I mean, you have a powerful reputation, Dr. Zara. Dr. Zara Nanu, folks, she's a powerful advocate for workplace gender equality and wider fair pay. But you actually started your career combating human trafficking and campaigning on women's rights issues. And you're now at the forefront of the push for technology to build more inclusive workplaces. Do you find all that experience from the previous helps with this one?
Absolutely. And this kind of, it all sits within the same thing, women's access to the economy. And we keep on talking about women's empowerment and women's access to human rights. But the word power is within the word empowerment, and money is power. And we want to strive towards a world where women have equal access to money as men, so that they can have decisions to impact positively the raising of their families and children and education, and a better world all around us.
Dr. Zara Nanu, ladies and gentlemen, gapsquare.com is the address, www.gapsquare, that's GAP Square, SQUARE, all one word, gapsquare.com. the CEO of Gapsquare, and a lady that does a lot of work. She's trying to offer expansive diversity, equality, data intelligence, and report generation, utilizing data science and artificial intelligence to reimagine the future of work. Thank you, Dr. Zara. Keep up the good work, eh?
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.